Hi, I'm Tim Zacharias with Cougar USA and your host of Building Value. My guest today, Steven Nanez, Senior Business Development Consultant with TDIndustries. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Tim. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, sir. Well, looking forward to a great episode today. We're going to be talking about servant leadership and building and maintaining trusting relationships. On Building Value, we go behind the scenes of building operations to showcase the people and products that make buildings work and the value they bring to the community. So what did you end up doing after high school then?
So everybody talked about college, and I thought, you know what? I don't want to do that because I wasn't ready for college. So I joined the Navy.
That's awesome.
And that was July of '02. It was a good step, though.
Yeah. So were you deployed?
So I started in San Diego, and then went to Cuba, worked in Guantanamo Bay, and then I went to.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then I went to the Middle East, lived in Bahrain for a couple of years. So yeah, I was a prison guard in Bahrain. Oh, sorry, in Guantanamo Bay.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, we could do like a whole nother episode
Yeah, I
just
know.
on that, but that's
05 to 07,
incredible.
man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your service. That's amazing.
No, man, I appreciate the opportunity to serve the country. It was great. And
you're still involved, right?
I am. I've just hit 18 years.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'm an officer now. So I still have to work for a living, but a little bit less, right? More paper and pen.
Nice. Well, that's awesome, man. It's a very unique path to go, especially going to Guantanamo Bay. But it's awesome that you stuck with it, and I'm sure there's been things that you've learned in the Navy that have served you well outside of the service.
I would have to say that one of the things, one of our core values at TDIndustries, servant leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Navy does an outstanding job in keeping people accountable and making sure that we're doing the right thing for other folks. And that's kind of the first stage in building relationships. So that was one of the easily transitionable items
Sure.
that I was able to take from the military, and it's helped my relationships, for internal customers, other people that I work with in the office, external customers, vendors, other contractors and things of that nature. So it's been good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that there's quite a few people that have served in the military that have made it into this industry, and they're all doing well. I actually had quite a few on the show, which is really cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of our senior technicians, boiler guys, things of that nature that we've hired and encountered in the past. A lot of guys that came off of Navy ships. That's kind of where it started at. So yeah, it's pretty cool how they understand it, and it transitions into their civilian career.
Yeah, that's awesome. But you did decide to go back to college go to college at some point, right?
Yeah.
You went to U of H.
Yeah, I went to U of H, started at Lone Star College, and then transitioned over to University of Houston. And then I have my undergrad in international business and my master's degree in supply chain management. And I got my supply chain management degree because I wanted to be a supply corps officer in the Navy.
Okay.
And that was one of the reasons that I was more competitive in that field. So I was commissioned October of 2019. So I'm coming up on 2 years, and I'll be a lieutenant in October.
There you go. Congratulations. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you get into the commercial construction world?
I worked for a concrete cutting company. One of my best friends, Wade Arnett, shout out. Yeah, he owned a concrete cutting business, and he still does. And a lot of my customers were, just mechanical contractors.
Mm-hmm.
So got in with a couple of those guys, and I saw just the intricacies and the different level of, know-how to understand those parts of the business. And I decided to get into the business and been doing it since 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so what is your role now with TD?
So I'm currently a business development manager. So I work mainly in the medical center, but Canvas is all of Houston.
Okay.
But I mainly spend most of my time on Main and Fannin down in the medical center.
There's enough there to keep you busy, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's it's kind of cool. I finally learned where to park and not get towed. Like that's a plus, right? I mean, I've been towed from A&M, U of H, you
Yep.
name it. I've been towed. So no, it's been good down there, and it is a very fast moving machine,
Yes.
to say the least. So all hands on deck all the time. Not very much downtime there. So.
Right. So are you able to navigate between all of the buildings using just the tunnels?
No, no, I'm above ground, man, all the time. No,
So,
I mean, I know where all the parking garages are
Sure.
at, right? 4, 10, 12, whatever. And, I'll normally park there and kind of put my backpack on and make my way down.
Yep.
That's normally like what I like to do.
My dad loves being down in those tunnels.
Yeah.
And, he'll be like, meet me at garage 10 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll disappear underground. I'm like over here dragging a marker on the wall so I can find my way out. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I don't know how he can, find his way around down there, but it is an amazing set of buildings and just a ton going on.
It is obviously the largest medical center in the world, and it's just continuing to grow. It's really cool to be part of.
So what all are you kind of offering as services with TD?
So TDIndustries is a mechanical contractor. We do full MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. We offer services we do a full life cycle, so we can build it, maintain it, all in between. So mechanical, HVAC, electrical, full outfit, plumbing, controls, fire life and safety. We take care of refrigeration, things of that nature also. A lot of the hospitals, ice machines, ice makers, all
Yep.
those things fall under infectious control, things of that nature. So they're very important in the Joint Commission's realm, where we have to maintain them, make sure that we're turning in the proper paperwork to make sure these devices are taken care of. Lots of backflow devices,
Yes.
lots and lots
Yes.
of backflows. One site that we're part of is there's about 700 devices there. Dialysis machines,
Oh, yeah.
MRIs, you name it. So yeah, it's a full-time job just to maintain the equipment.
Oh, yeah.
Let alone the repairs that come behind it also.
Right, and those are facilities that can't
Correct.
afford to be down, right?
That's
I mean,
right.
You're talking patient care and surgery and research and those things, and it's just not the discomfort of tenants in an office building, something like that. These are critical applications.
Yeah. So there's another level of, I guess, difficulty there with
Mhm.
with being able to schedule shutdowns. We would have to schedule with TICO. We'd have to make sure that the hospital can there's enough redundancy there
Sure.
to move a patient or to do this or to do that. So there's a lot of levels of sophistication to some of the things that we have to do, and there's a lot of project schedules that we have to really stick to, because if we shut down a system and there's an operating room that needs to be used in a couple hours and that system's down, now they have to reconfigure the entire surgery. So
Yeah, not only that, I mean, they got to make sure that the steam equipment and all of that is working correctly, so that even if the surgery is scheduled, that it can go on
Sure.
as planned, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, definitely. We've obviously do a lot in the med center and do a lot with y'all down there, and it kind of feel that additional pressure to make sure that everything that you're supplying or the work that you're doing down there is making sure that things stay running.
Yes, and the primary concern for us is to make sure that the hospitals are delivering the best patient care possible, and that's the end game, right? That's what we're chasing is a system that someone can rely on 100%. If your family member was there, you were there. You want to make sure that system is 100% checked to make sure that that person is receiving the right care. So.
Absolutely, and I had my youngest son was both my boys were born at TCH, and my youngest ended up having to have like a little procedure, and we were in West Tower recovering, and kind of looked out the window, and that's when it all hit me. Hey, wow, this is what the other side is,
Right.
and kind of the output for why we're doing what we're doing, right? So that was it was very much a personal connection to that mission. So
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I see in the hospital, and I try my best to stay off the patient floors because it's difficult, right? I mean,
absolutely,
you go down to the basement of the hospital where everything is behind the scenes, no problem. I can work in there, but when you go to TCH and you see the kids getting out of the elevator and you know why they're there, that's the stuff that's like, we have to make sure this is 100%. This cannot be left untouched. So, there's a lot of communication. I've learned that all of the directors and all the guys that work down in the medical center are very, very passionate about that.
Yep.
Which is a compelling piece to why I stay down there.
Yep.
I could care less. If I don't care. I don't want to say that, but I mean, there's a lot less concern with somebody being hot versus a patient not being able to get service.
Right. It's a different kind of level of priority to
absolutely
to make sure that those patients are getting not just the comfort but the additional systems to get their care. So absolutely. So when you've been down there, or just what are some of the things that you've seen, maybe whether it's been through the last few months with or 6 months this show with COVID, or just in general, what kind of things are you seeing happening in buildings that need to be addressed, or some kind of issues that you've noticed?
Well, we've seen a lot of focus on air quality.
Yep.
So IAQ, indoor air quality for HEPA filters, making sure that these filters are being changed more frequently. We've seen air handling units having UV lights installed in them and replaced and things of that nature, because we want to make sure that even though it's not 100% fix, anything we can control, anything that we can do to help diminish that, we're absolutely on all hands on deck to make sure that that's done. So there's been more emphasis on that. There's been more frequency on changing these filters out, making sure that people feel safer in their spaces. And that has been a big push for the last 6 or 8 months.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's we're more obviously on the water side, but have kind of been hearing a lot and seeing more on the air side. And I know that obviously with it being an airborne disease with COVID, that's definitely a concern. But anything else that y'all have been doing, whether it's been directly related to COVID or just things that you've seen kind of issues maybe that have been popping up, maybe the lower occupancy or other things that just have
we've
kind of changes?
Well, we've actually had to kind of recalibrate certain things, like certain spaces, existing spaces, where we'd have to build out extra rooms and repipe in different flexes to feed supply and return ducts for different areas to make sure that we're containing that as much as we can in the hospital, because there is a requirement for each hospital to have their own spaces, and we don't want that to carry over to a non-affected patient. Right. So, we do our best to try to, create a space that's safe for that person, but also, safe for others that don't need to be affected by that. So
absolutely,
we've done that in outpatient clinics. We've done that in some of the main hospitals. So it's negative air machines, things of that nature, moving. Yeah, it's a well-oiled machine right now.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, and it's nice to see the numbers trending the right way. As a result of things like that, the care, hopefully the more people are getting vaccinated, things like that, we continue to move in that direction. So, as we kind of get hopefully over the hump and kind of back more towards the normal, do you think some of these changes that have been made in the hospitals are going to continue, or what kind of, how do you see the outlook going forward?
I'm comfortable with them. I am. I think that a lot of the changes that have been made have made people more aware.
Sure.
I think that there should be a limitation on a certain amount of people from the outside coming into the hospital, things of that nature, because it does diminish the ability for people to get sick. Because even if it's not COVID, it might be something else. And if we're bringing people in and they're not being screened properly and their temperatures aren't being checked, and we're just letting people come in and out of the hospitals, we're kind of creating a safe haven for those people, but we're not following through with it if all these guys and girls are coming in the hospital constantly.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I mean, there's just a lot more general awareness of hygiene, or even kind of back to that expectation of, well, I'm not that sick, so I should probably go into work, or things like that. Those hopefully will change, and then that will keep the hospitals safer, things like that. So are you seeing any sort of changes to kind of like the preventive maintenance schedules, or people seem more kind of aware of things like that at this point?
So what we've seen, full disclosure, is capital budgets are kind of at a hold,
Okay.
which has been reallocated into that maintenance is normally deferred, or it's the frequency is not as much. But right now, that is the number one emphasis, to make sure that anything that we do have in place, we need to make sure that's maintained 100%.
Right.
It needs to work. It needs to, let's order more parts just in case that goes wrong. So we have seen an uptick in that, where the capital budgets are, again, on hold for now. But most of the stuff that's being in place, being used every day, is being maintained very, very well.
That's good.
So
what advice would you have for some of these hospitals, or any of the other buildings that you've been working in, you feel like are, either upgrades that some of the things you may have already talked about, or other things that might help them kind of keep that existing equipment running longer, or things that they should look at making changes on?
I think it's important for people to hire the right person to go through and make sure that they're getting a full assessment of all their equipment. Go through it 100%, make sure that you're keeping track of all of it. Extra coverage on those items, checking your filters properly, making sure that you have a full maintenance schedule written out. You have a building reopen plan in place. Those are very important right now. And TD's offering, those reopen plans to help with those folks that need to reopen their building safely, and try to make sure that we're doing all the right things that we can to make people feel comfortable in their spaces.
Yeah, those are the reopening plans and the guidelines from the CDC and ASHRAE. Been a little bit of a moving target over the last 6 months or so.
Yeah, they can be vague, and the problem is, if they're not specific to a certain building or a certain space or a certain type of business or whatever the case may be, we can come in and kind of help them encourage like a certain plan for that type of business. So whether it be processed water, or if it's chilled water, or whatever it is, I mean, it's all being used for a purpose, and we just want to make sure that space and those people feel safe while they're doing their work.
Yep. Yeah, one of the things that was kind of a concern early on, seems to have maybe faded a little bit, has been the Legionella concerns in the drinking water, just because of the lower consumption of staying in the water supply longer, things like that. So, that can be a kind of an indirect potential result of the low consumption in the building, or things like that, as part of their reopening plan, would be to kind of look at that domestic water or hot water systems and make sure that they're flushed and, don't have that potential for that environment for Legionella.
I think a lot of people have learned that they can't shut their building down.
Yeah.
It's not a thing. That's not a thing.
Yes.
Full disclaimer for anybody out there. You can't just turn the lights off and turn the building off.
I mean, you can.
Yeah.
But you may not want to get back in. It's probably going to cost you more to get back in the building than it would just to keep it running.
Yeah. If you, HVAC, that's the lungs of your building. All the things that go through it, water and air and everything else that needs to constantly move through those spaces needs to be maintained. So, we have seen, buildings get shut down, and then people get, reallocated into another space and things like that, because people are downsizing, right? I mean, people are learning how to work from home now. That's a thing now, right? Your truck is your office, your home is your office. So, as those changes, stay in place, we're gonna continue to monitor the CDC and the ASHRAE standards to make sure that we're in compliance as much as we can to give the best resources where possible.
Nice. And so, I think it's been a great partnership between Cougar and TD, especially working with you down in the Med Center, to be able to kind of work with y'all or through y'all to get some of the, keep these buildings up and going, or do some of those projects. What do you feel like your experience has been working with us? And you can be honest.
Cougar. So Mike Zacharias walks on water in the medical center. And no pun intended, right? You guys are water guys, but now he is a trusted advocate for a lot of these hospitals. He's been down there for a long time, so I am definitely trying to emulate his footsteps and how he creates relationships down there. But but it's wonderful. I mean, you guys can come in, give an idea, and we'll buy the parts and pieces from you, and you pretty much give it to us on a silver platter, and we go install it, and there you go. We never get a call back on it. So it's been great. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, all your booster skids, all of your condensate return units, everything else that we install down there. I mean, triple clear filters, and anything else that we use in these hospitals. I mean, it's been a great experience to work with Cougar. But furthermore, the support that we receive whenever something does not work out as planned, and normally it's not you guys or the equipment, it's normally something else in the system. You guys will.
It's bound to happen. It's not
you guys
if,
will
but
walk
when,
us through
right?
it and say, hey, here's step one, and walk you through it. So I've had my own experience. The Weston Medical Center.
Mm-hmm.
I called it, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night. And I actually talked to a real guy. It wasn't
EJ.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't an answering machine. And I was like, "Hey,
thank
cool.
you for calling Cougar USA. We'll be with you shortly."
Right. So, no, it was great to be able to talk through the problems and get it figured out. Yeah, and you guys got us squared away. So
awesome.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, happy to hear that. And that's our Night's Watch crew after hours that are eager to help and get those buildings back up and going. So definitely there to help you out. And, I think one of the kind of the systems that my dad and Scott really kind of cut their teeth on were the steam systems in the med center. And that goes back, a long time. And so obviously that's a big deal in the med center. And so we're definitely happy to support y'all on the steam systems.
I can't count on hands or feet how many times I've heard that your dad knows steam systems like nobody else, and it's pretty awesome, to hear that and say, hey, I'm going to call Mike. Oh, you're going to call Mike Zacharias? Absolutely, because I'm not going to sit here and lie to you about it. So no, it's been great, and I can call your dad and have a conversation with him. And the cool thing is these guys that have been in the business for a long time. Bruce Nelson, 35 years. I can ask him about a question on a building, and somehow he remembers everything about that room. I don't know how he does it, but
it's really funny. And it's one of those things that, I look back growing up and we'd be driving around town in the brown Taurus.
Oh God. Yeah.
And my dad would be pointing at us, oh, we just did, whatever in this building. Oh, I got a pump in this building. Oh, we just did some steam traps in that building. I remember we were doing a Bluebell ice cream tour, in Brenham.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, those are my steam traps over there. And I'm like, Dad, come on. And now, I'm driving around and I'm pointing out to my wife and kids.
Yeah.
And, my son's like, oh, cool, Dad. And my wife's kind of like, okay, I'm tired of hearing about this at this point.
Oh, my wife's ready to jump off a bridge every time I talk about work. I go to a restaurant now. I'm like, who did this?
Right.
Yeah, we better not have done this.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And, so it's kind of funny how that's come full circle. And there's even been some buildings where I've been able to replace booster systems that my dad put in however many years ago. So it's pretty funny now to kind of have that, building up my own library of buildings and basements and things.
I mean, long story short, and I'm not saying this because we're on your show here, but when we call you guys, we know that it's going to be done right, and that's been the common theme with our relationship between TD and Cougar. There's not very many things that you guys look at that you can't give us a good solution for, and that's what it's about, right? It's about diminishing downtime, making sure that we're getting things in place, making sure that we're fixing these antiquated systems. Part of the hospital is built in 30, part of it's built in 2021. So it's like merging all these systems together to make them work and play well together is not the easiest thing in the world.
No, it's not. And we definitely appreciate that and happy to support y'all any way we can. So awesome. So any other words of advice that you might have for even just people getting into the industry or trying to figure out what to do?
Be honest.
Yeah.
Be patient. Make sure that you're doing the right thing for the right reasons. Don't just go out there and lie to people.
Sure.
Do the right thing. If you do the right thing, your money will follow. Your career will do better. All those things will happen for you. So it's just following the footsteps with these guys that talk about relationships all the time, right? And another big one for us is build, trusting, and maintain those relationships, right? So don't just tell someone you're going to do it. Don't just tell me you're going to do it. Show me how you're going to do it. So making sure that you follow through with what you tell them you're going to do. If you want to ruin your career, you go the other way.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's great advice. Yeah. So any other, you talked about the servant leadership tying together from the Navy to what you're doing with TD. You feel like there's any other kind of life lessons from your time with the Navy?
Honor, courage, commitment, right? Those are our core values in the Navy. I think those are pretty transferable to any business that you're in, right? Sure. The honor, following through with what you're going to do, the commitment, the courage, and all those different things. We face a lot of challenges that we scratch our heads on, right? I sit in a room full of really, really smart guys sometimes, whether in the military as an officer or whether in the office at TD, and we scratch our heads on how we're going to fix something. But if you're straightforward and you're honest about it, and you sit down with that customer and you explain what your plan is, you can come up with a good solution. And I fully believe that.
Yep.
So transitioning out of the military from full time, getting a check every 1st and the 15th is not the easiest thing to do, to go back in the civilian world and find something you enjoy doing, right? But my whole thing is just to make sure that they understand that I'm gonna bring the right resources if I can.
Sure.
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you something that I don't know anything about. I'm gonna let me find the right guys, and whether it be an outside source like reaching out to you or Mike, or an inside source reaching out to Bruce or Richard Parton. One of those guys. So.
Absolutely, man. And I know that you walk the talk too. We've seen
Thanks, man.
Out a lot in the med center and taking care of customers and stuff. So definitely appreciate your time coming on and sharing that with us and being a partner with Cougar.
Appreciate it, man. Have a great day.
Awesome. Well, I really enjoyed our conversation here today. Anything we didn't cover? Anything else you wanna talk about?
No, I think we covered it, and I look forward to 2021. I really do. Yeah. We have had a stellar beginning of the year already.
Yep.
And I think we are on pace to get past this virus, past all the stuff, and we're moving in the right direction. We're gonna get people where they need to go and take care of business.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely feeling optimistic about 2021, and I think everybody is ready for it.
Sure. Absolutely.
I think we're all ready to leave 2020 behind and, not revisit that for a long time.
Absolutely.
So, awesome, man.
But thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man.
This is great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation, and I appreciate you sharing your experience with us, and also appreciate your service.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, also want to thank everybody for watching and listening to this episode of Building Value, and we hope to see you on the next one.